A man is installing a signal device atop a tower, not anticipating that a group of zombies is approaching in the distance. Rosita, who is on standby below, notices the approaching danger as well. However, the zombie horde is still a bit far from their location. After saying that, Rosita was going to prepare the carriage. Unfortunately, the two horses sense the danger and break free from their reins. Fleeing into the distance, Rosita cursed and could only quickly go to the carriage to pack her things. She plans to leave as soon as Eugene comes down. Meanwhile, Eugene is cautiously descending the stairs on the tower. As the zombies get closer over the next 5 minutes, he finally reaches the bottom. Eugene tries to kick away some obstructing vines but accidentally knocks over the ladder instead. Eugene didn't choose to call Rosita for help. Rosita rushes over to check on Eugene's condition. Eugene attempts to stand, but it's evident that his knee is injured, and he can't stand up properly. Rosita has no choice but to retrieve an iron shovel to serve as a makeshift crutch for Eugene. With the zombies just a few meters away, they need to hurry and escape. Let's let the two of them escape for a while. The scene shifts to the kingdom. 5 years later, where the population has grown. Carol, now with long hair, gazes below, and the issue of dwindling food supply still persists. Suddenly, a muffled sound comes from underground, prompting her and Jerry to quickly head down. You don't have to think about it to know that a pipe must have blown. The kingdom's challenges in rebuilding lie in the shortage of food and the deterioration of various equipment. When they arrive, they find a young man repairing the equipment, none other than a grown-up Henry. Henry seems skilled in repairing these devices. In a short time, he's managed to patch them up with duct tape, and the pressure levels are back to normal. Ezekiel also arrives, praising his son for the good job. Henry doesn't seem pleased by the praise, as this isn't what he wanted. Using plastic and tape for repairs isn't a satisfactory solution for him. Henry had long expressed a desire to become an apprentice blacksmith at the hilltop to learn practical skills that could benefit the kingdom. However, his father consistently opposed the idea, leaving Henry frustrated and speaking with a tone of defiance. Once they leave the underground area, Henry practices the staff techniques taught by his mentor Morgan. It's clear that he's channeling his pent-up frustration. Ezekiel and Carol secretly watched Henry from a distance. Neither of them were Henry's biological parents, but they treated Henry as their own child. Henry referred to them as his mom and dad. Carol naturally understood the thoughts of this father and son duo. One wanted to learn skills to help rebuild their community, while the other was concerned about the long and dangerous journey to the hilltop. Fearing for their child's safety on the road, when the bridge broke, it took the kingdom 2 or 3 times longer to travel to the top of the mountain. Finally, persuaded by Carol's arguments, Ezekiel agreed to let Henry go on the journey, just as eaglets must eventually face the heights alone. And with Carol as Henry's escort, Ezekiel found himself reassured. Then mother and son set off, with a load of vegetables. After all, the hilltop has helped the kingdom a lot over the past 5 years. Just then a woman's cry for help came from the alley. Henry, the hot-headed young man, stopped the car and rushed out with a stick. Despite his mother's objections, Carol, rather helplessly, followed closely behind with her bow and arrow. This son is good at everything, but he's too hot-blooded. Henry followed the sound until he reached a narrow alley, where several burly men were harassing a woman.
My hero.
What Henry didn't expect was that this was all a trap. Carol arrived with her bow and arrow, her senses tingling with suspicion from the moment she heard the cry for help. The door behind Carol slowly opened and a familiar voice greeted her. These people are the saviors. Their trap had been set to steal the supplies from the cart. They're used to being fed. No one has cared about them since Rick blew up the bridge, so now they're left to fend for themselves, which is a bit miserable. The leader among them approached Carol, admitting they didn't enjoy resorting to such actions. However, they had fallen on hard times since the saviors disbanded. They used to have horses, but they were too hungry. Now they can only use zombies to capture. The leader recalled Carol sparing his life earlier and considered this a debt repaid. He announced that they wouldn't take the cart, and even left her with the stick. Everything else was to be theirs. Without hesitation, Carol agreed, urging them to take what they wanted. Henry, baffled by this, couldn't understand. The leader then noticed the ring on Carol's hand and demanded she hand it over. Henry couldn't stand it anymore. This is his parents' wedding ring. Witnessing his son being pushed to the ground, Carol swiftly stepped in, protecting Henry. Then she took off the ring and handed it to the man. The man took the ring and put it on his hand, and flippantly teased Carol about her nice hair. Having obtained what they desired, the saviors departed. Due to the long journey, they had to stop and spend the night along the way. Henry expressed his confusion, saying, I don't understand why you didn't resist. You used to be so strong. Carol replied calmly. There's no need. Henry retorted. There's right and wrong in the world. Punishing evil and promoting good. Upholding justice. That's what you taught me. You used to act that way. So why have you changed now? Carol responded tenderly. Because of you, you'll understand one day. Henry had no further words, just lying down in frustration to sleep. Carol, on the other hand, looked at her finger. The ring she had been wearing for 5 years was no longer there. In the deep night, the full moon hung high in the sky. Inside a grass hut, the saviors slept peacefully, unaware of a figure entering their dwelling. By this time, the floor had been doused with gasoline. The smell awoke the man, who realized something was on him.
Wait.
The ring I could let go? People who went out and never came back. That stuff belonged to people I knew.
I swear you'll never see us again. You found that stuff. We didn't do anything.
I know. You hurt my son.
The flames spread instantly along the gasoline, engulfing the sleeping figures. The screams echoed through the room. This was the Carol we knew, the warrior. She never hesitated to eliminate those who deserved it, especially those who had harmed her son. Her silver hair glowed in the fire's light, accentuating her formidable presence. In the Alexandria safe zone, some people couldn't sleep either. It was the 4 individuals brought back earlier by Judith during the day. They were discussing the events involving the dagger. Magna explains that she just wanted to keep it for protection and didn't realize the woman was so powerful. At this moment, Luke asked Magna to hand over the necklace, as it also concealed a blade. Reluctantly, Magna handed it over, only to retract her hand immediately. She knew how crucial it was to stay here, outside, with no supplies and no cart. Death could come at any moment, maybe kill the woman quietly. Luke said they've already helped us. They had been living outside for a long time and managed to survive. Connie comes up to Magna and tells her that they can't be such jerks about it. Repaying kindness with cruelty wasn't their way. There must be a reason these people managed to survive. They shouldn't provoke that woman. Tomorrow, when Yumiko wakes up, they'll leave. It was their fate. Magnus still held onto her reluctance, stating that their fallen comrades had all hoped for a place like this, and now it was right in front of them. Luke's temper flared as well.
Listen to her, okay? She's right. They got little kids here. You want to fight debate style? Cool. All right, you want to fight? I say let's save it for somebody who deserves it, right? Yes? I get a yes vote on that? Yes. Kelly? Yes. Majority rules. Hand it over now.
Finally, Magna didn't say anything. In the latter part of the night, Magna stealthily approached Michonne's door and caught a glimpse of Michonne inside. Magna was still reluctant for everyone to continue wandering and was prepared to kill Michonne. Just as Magna was about to open the door, she witnessed Michonne holding her son. The image made Magna freeze in her tracks. Magna recalled Connie's words from earlier, and then she knocked softly on Michonne's door.
You missed one. You're right about me.
Thank you.
I've done things. Terrible things. If I had all this, I wouldn't trust me either.
It isn't always that easy to live with. Or else we wouldn't be here. We've all done things.
Michonne, who had closed the door, was now contemplating. At that moment, Michonne remembered that Rick had done the same thing to her the first time she went to prison. Just then, Michonne spotted Judith sitting on the stairs. Though young, Judith understood everything. She wanted her mom to let down her guard, believing that if Dad were still alive, he would have helped them. The next morning, Yumiko woke up, signaling that they had to leave. After last night's conversation, Magna accepted it with open arms. Sometimes, one must stand by their principles. As they were getting ready to leave, Michonne arrived on horseback. She addressed the group, saying that the plan had changed. There's a place much like this one, and their leader there will welcome them. I'll personally escort you. When the time comes, I'll talk to him, Michonne added. Siddiq naturally understood that Michonne was referring to the hilltop. Furthermore, Michonne asked Siddiq to accompany them to help tend to the sick. Kelly quickly translated this for her sister. Connie was smarter and knew that this little guy must have done something to make the cold Michonne willing to help them. On the road to the hilltop, Carol was also making her way. Henry apologized to his mother for his tone and attitude the previous day. Carol reassured him, saying that it's okay and that his safety matters more than anything. At that moment, Henry suddenly saw the ring on his mom's hand and understood what was going on. Without an explanation, Carol simply smiled at Henry. As they continued walking, Carol deviated from the route, and Henry was unsure where his mother was heading. Suddenly, a man appeared before them.
Need a ride, stranger?
None other than Daryl. Meanwhile, in a forest, Rosita and Eugene were still on the run. This time the zombies are surprisingly scary and have been tracking them all night. Eugene couldn't run anymore and told Rosita he can't hold her back any longer. He was willing to stay and hold off the zombies so Rosita could escape. However, there was something he had kept buried within himself for a long time, and now he wanted to muster the courage to tell her. Before he could speak, Rosita firmly silenced him, telling him that they can make their escape.